The grand doors of St. Gabriel's Church creaked open, and a solitary figure stepped inside. He wasn't someone you'd expect at a wedding, his coat worn and patched, shoes scuffed from miles of hardship, and silver hair untamed by the breeze. As he walked quietly past the polished pews, whispers rippled through the crowd like a sudden chill. "Did she really invite him?" a woman whispered, clutching her clutch tighter, eyes darting nervously. "Looks like someone's trying to make a scene," muttered another, eyes sharp with judgment. But at the front, the bride, Evelyn Hartwell, stood radiant in her ivory gown, her heart beat steady with purpose, not nerves. The moment her gaze met his, hesitation vanished. Without a second thought, she slipped away from the circle of waiting guests, her dress whispering softly against the marble floor. The crowd gasped, some shifting uncomfortably, as Evelyn embraced the man with warmth that melted away years of solitude. For a fleeting heartbeat, silence settled over the hall, broken only by the faint rustle of fabric and the soft breath of surprise. Then, a deep, rhythmic thudding echoed from the entrance. Heavy boots, marching with unwavering precision, filled the space. 12 Marines, polished and proud in their dress blues, filed in with military grace. Their faces were stoic, eyes reflecting solemn honor under the chandelier's glow. Captain James Archer led the group, stopping before Evelyn with a crisp salute that demanded respect. The hall hushed, whispers fading into a reverent stillness. If you've ever doubted the quiet power of kindness, how unseen acts can change lives, prepare to be reminded. This isn't just a wedding story. It's a tale of hidden heroes, silent sacrifices, and the bonds forged beyond appearances. Long before the wedding day, Evelyn Hartwell's world began quietly, before dawn and in the soft glow of street lamps. At exactly 4:15 a.m., she unlocked the doors of Morning Glory Bakery, a small, beloved corner shop nestled on Maple Street in the heart of Harborview. The town still slept, but Evelyn was already awake, preparing for a day she would start far earlier than most. At 32, Evelyn had earned a reputation as the bakery's lead pastry chef. Her almond croissants were the talk of the town, and her salted caramel tarts, famously gooey and decadent, could lift even the gloomiest mornings. But Evelyn's passion extended beyond her baking. Beneath the layers of flour and sugar was a heart quietly devoted to a secret ritual. As the first golden croissants emerged from the oven, Evelyn carefully wrapped one in parchment paper and poured a steaming cup of coffee into a sturdy to-go cup. Without fanfare, she slipped out the back door, stepping into the crisp morning air. Just a few blocks away, on a worn wooden bench by the Elm Avenue bus stop, sat an elderly man she had come to know over 7 long years. He was a quiet presence, his silver hair a stark contrast to his threadbare coat and worn shoes. He never begged, never intruded, just sat, waiting for the day to unfold. To most, he was invisible, a forgotten fixture of the streets. But to Evelyn, he was a person deserving of dignity and kindness. She never asked his name, nor did he offer it. Instead, she left her morning gift, a warm pastry and fresh coffee placed gently on the bench, accompanied by a simple handwritten note wishing him peace. Then she disappeared back into the shadows of dawn, content in the quiet hope that her small act might mean something. Her co-workers, however, saw things differently. Behind Evelyn's back, they whispered and scoffed. "She's wasting perfectly good food," one sneered. "He's probably taking advantage of her kindness," another muttered with certainty. They couldn't understand why Evelyn risked her time, energy, and resources on someone who never gave anything back. The tension heightened when a new manager, Mr. Clark, took charge. During a performance review, Evelyn was gently advised to reconsider her charity. "Your generosity is admirable," he said carefully, "but some customers have mentioned feeling uncomfortable. Perhaps your efforts would be better directed through official shelters." Though the word stung, Evelyn only nodded, adjusting her routine instead of abandoning it. She arrived earlier, ensuring her gift reached the man before anyone else arrived, keeping the gesture hidden from prying eyes. Still, gossip grew louder. A new employee spotted her and whispered loudly, "She's been feeding that homeless man for years." Customers shook their heads, pity and judgment clouding their faces. But Evelyn's smile never faltered. For her, this was not charity, it was recognition. Recognition of a man's worth when the world looked the other way. Her fiancé, Lucas, a firefighter with a quiet strength and boundless generosity, understood Evelyn's heart. They often shared stories of small acts of kindness, moments of grace in a world too busy to notice. "You see the ones everyone else walks past," Lucas would say with pride. "That's what makes you extraordinary." One bitter winter morning, Evelyn found the man shivering, and without hesitation, she left her own knitted scarf with the breakfast. The next day, tucked beneath the package, was a shaky note, "Thank you for seeing me." That simple message became Evelyn's treasure, a beacon of hope and the quiet proof that sometimes the smallest kindness can heal the deepest wounds. Evelyn's quiet world began to shift the day new management took over at Morning Glory Bakery. Mr. Clark, the new manager, was professional and efficient but lacked the warmth that had once filled the small shop. He noticed Evelyn's secret mission, the daily delivery of pastries and coffee to the elderly man, and soon it became a point of concern. During a routine performance review, Mr. Clark spoke gently but firmly. "Evelyn, your generosity is commendable, but some customers have expressed discomfort seeing you giving food to a homeless man here. It might be better if you directed your charity through official shelters or organizations." The words cut deeper than Evelyn expected. It wasn't just a suggestion, it felt like a challenge to her compassion, a questioning of her motives. She nodded politely, but inside, a storm brewed. This wasn't just about food, it was about respect and humanity. Changing her routine felt impossible. Determined to keep her promise to the man she quietly called her friend, Evelyn arrived earlier each day, slipping out before anyone else to leave the warm meal in secret. But secrecy bred suspicion. Gossip spread quickly among the staff. One morning, Mark, a new employee with little understanding of Evelyn's heart, whispered loudly enough for others to hear, "She's been feeding that poor man for years. Doesn't she have better things to do with her time? It's a waste." Others joined in, judgment laced in their voices. "One day, he'll take advantage of her kindness," another warned. Evelyn heard the whispers but kept her head down. The pain wasn't in their words, it was in their blindness. They couldn't see what she saw, a man broken by life, deserving of dignity. At home, things were no easier. Evelyn's mother, Mrs. Hartwell, worried for her daughter. "You have a big heart, Evelyn, but the world isn't kind. You need to think practically. Lucas understands you, but many won't. Don't let your kindness be your weakness." Those words struck a chord. Tears fell silently as Evelyn wiped them away, reminding herself why she chose this path. It wasn't weakness, it was faith. Faith that small acts could ripple into something greater. Every day, as she shaped dough and arranged pastries, Evelyn carried the image of the man's tired eyes filled with pain but also trust. The judgment of others couldn't dim the light she had kindled in his life. Her mission was no longer just a secret kindness, it had become her quiet rebellion against a world too quick to turn away. Evelyn's life was more than just flour and pastries, it was a tapestry woven with quiet hope and unseen connections. Her daily act of kindness wasn't merely about feeding a hungry man, it was her way of saying, "You matter. Your story matters." To Evelyn, that bench on Elm Avenue wasn't just a place to leave food, it was a silent conversation, a bridge between two souls who had found each other in a world too busy to notice. Her fiancé, Lucas, understood this better than anyone. A firefighter known for his calm strength and generosity, Lucas had his own ways of helping others, small gestures done without fanfare or recognition. Together, they shared stories late into the night about invisible heroes, the lost, the broken, the forgotten, whose courage went unnoticed. "When you give him breakfast," Lucas once told her, "you're not just giving food. You're giving him a reason to face another day. You're telling him he's still seen, still valued." Evelyn often wished she could speak more with the man she helped. But their communication was limited to brief nods and occasional smiles, quiet moments that spoke louder than words. Those moments were enough. Enough to remind her that sometimes presence is the greatest gift. In the coldest winter, when the biting wind made the streets unforgiving, Evelyn found him shivering. Without hesitation, she left her own scarf beside his breakfast, a fragile shield against the chill. The next morning, tucked beneath the parcel, she found a note scrawled in shaky handwriting, "Thank you for seeing me." That simple phrase became her anchor. In a world that often seemed cold and indifferent, it was a reminder that kindness could reach places no grand gesture ever could. Their relationship was built on unspoken understanding and shared values. Lucas admired Evelyn's fierce compassion. "Not everyone sees what you see," he told her gently. "Your heart is rare." Evelyn drew strength from his words, from the quiet support that bolstered her resolve. With Lucas by her side, her mission was no longer solitary. It was a shared journey of hope, courage, and the belief that even the smallest light can pierce the darkest night. As the wedding day approached, Harborview buzzed with excitement. From the cozy corners of Morning Glory Bakery to the leafy streets where neighbors exchanged smiles, everyone felt the warmth of Evelyn and Lucas's joy. Evelyn had invited every member of the bakery staff to join the celebration, wanting those who had shared in her journey to be part of this special day. Lucas teased her with a grin, You're inviting the whole town at this rate." Evelyn laughed softly. "Every person who's touched my life, even in the smallest way, deserves to be here." 2 days before the wedding, an unexpected arrival at the reception venue caught Evelyn off guard. A plain white envelope, unmarked except for the simple words "Bride Evelyn Hartwell," lay waiting on the registration desk. Curious, she opened it carefully. Inside was a beautifully handwritten card, its neat script carrying a message that both puzzled and stirred her heart. "Tomorrow, I come not for cake, but to repay a debt long owed." No signature, no return address. The handwriting felt hauntingly familiar, yet Evelyn couldn't place it. Was it from a distant relative? A friend of Lucas's? Or someone from her past? That night, the note danced in her thoughts, a gentle mystery wrapped in hope. Who would come bearing this silent promise? And what debt needed settling? Though the wedding preparations kept her busy, dress fittings, final meetings, and countless last-minute details, Evelyn's heart fluttered with a mixture of curiosity and quiet anticipation. She sensed that this visitor would change everything, weaving a new thread into the tapestry of her life. With each passing hour, the question lingered: who was coming? And what story awaited just beyond the church doors? The morning sun cast a golden glow through the stained glass windows of St. Gabriel's Church, filling the space with a serene warmth. Evelyn stood in the bridal suite, her hands trembling slightly as she adjusted the delicate lace of her gown. Excitement mingled with a quiet nervousness, but her thoughts were tethered to one question: who was the mysterious visitor arriving today? Outside, guests trickled into the church, dressed in their finest attire, laughter and chatter filling the air. Yet, among the sea of familiar faces, a figure stood apart, an elderly man, no longer cloaked in the faded rags Evelyn had come to know, but wearing a carefully pressed, though modest, suit. His silver hair was neatly combed, and though his shoes bore the wear of many hard years, they shone with a newfound polish. Whispers spread like wildfire. Who invited him? Is he really supposed to be here? Some exchanged wary looks, their judgment barely concealed. Evelyn felt the weight of their eyes but moved with purpose. She stepped from the bridal room, her white dress flowing like a gentle wave, and crossed the polished aisle to the man who had quietly lived in her heart for years. Without hesitation, she wrapped him in a warm embrace, tears threatening to spill. "I remember your eyes," she whispered softly, voice thick with emotion. A genuine smile broke across his weathered face. "And I remember every morning you treated me like a person," he replied, his voice steady despite the years. As they linked arms, preparing to enter the sanctuary together, a sudden sound shattered the hush, a steady, commanding rhythm. The church doors swung open to reveal 12 Marines in full dress blues, their uniforms immaculate, faces resolute. The congregation fell silent, breaths caught in throats. Captain James Archer stepped forward, his salute sharp and deliberate. "On behalf of Alpha Company, 3rd Battalion, 5th Marines, we are here to honor the woman who silently sustained a hero." He gestured to the man beside Evelyn. "This is Sergeant Victor Hale, a Marine whose bravery saved lives during an ambush in Fallujah. After tragedy stole his family, he vanished from the world, refusing recognition." Gasps echoed. "But," the captain continued, "for 6 years, Evelyn's kindness was his anchor, a daily act that gave him hope when none seemed left." Evelyn's heart swelled. The moment she'd long awaited had arrived, one that would forever change their lives. The church fell into a profound silence as Captain James Archer took deliberate steps forward, his polished shoes clicking crisply against the marble floor. Behind him, 12 Marines stood in perfect formation, their dress blues gleaming under the soft chandelier's light. Faces solemn and composed, their presence commanded respect and quiet reverence. The guests, still grappling with the presence of the elderly man beside Evelyn, now found themselves captivated by the weight and precision of the moment. Some gasped softly, others exchanged stunned glances, while a few instinctively straightened in their seats, sensing the gravity of the occasion. Captain Archer's voice, steady and clear, broke the silence. "Ladies and gentlemen, I stand before you representing Alpha Company, 3rd Battalion, 5th Marines. Today, we honor not only a union of love but a debt of gratitude long overdue." He paused, allowing the words to settle, then gestured toward the man standing humbly beside Evelyn. "This man is Sergeant Victor Hale, a Marine whose courage in the face of unimaginable danger saved 9 of his comrades during an ambush in Fallujah in 2004. A murmur of disbelief spread through the congregation. The frail figure, once dismissed and overlooked, was in fact a decorated war hero. Captain Archer continued, voice softening yet resonant. "After returning from combat, Victor suffered the devastating loss of his wife and daughter in a tragic accident. Overwhelmed by grief, he withdrew from society, choosing anonymity over recognition and refusing the benefits he rightfully earned. He inhaled deeply, emotion flickering in his eyes. For 6 years, a beacon of hope kept him anchored, Evelyn Hartwell. Without ever knowing his true identity, Evelyn sustained him with quiet compassion, a warm meal, a cup of coffee, and above all, seeing him as a human being, not a shadow of his past. Tears welled in many eyes as the captain painted the picture of Evelyn's daily kindness, the subtle acts that preserved a life when all seemed lost. Then another Marine stepped forward, carrying a shadow box. Inside rested a Silver Star medal, its surface dulled by time, alongside a faded photograph. The image showed a younger Victor Hale, blooded but determined, carrying a wounded Marine through a war-torn street, the very street where Captain Archer himself had been gravely injured. "He carried me 4 blocks through relentless enemy fire," Archer said quietly, his voice thick with emotion. Despite his own wounds, he returned time and again to save others. His bravery earned him the Silver Star, a medal he never sought to claim. Evelyn's eyes brimmed with tears, her hand instinctively reaching for Victor's. "I never knew," she whispered, voice trembling. Victor met her gaze, his own moist with unshed tears. "That was the point," he replied softly. "I never wanted thanks. After losing everything, I couldn't bear being seen as a hero. But you never asked. You just saw me." The Marines shifted, forming an honor guard lining the aisle from the entrance to the altar. Their silent tribute echoed the unbreakable bond of brotherhood and sacrifice. Captain Archer addressed the crowd once more. "In the Corps, we say, never leave a Marine behind." Evelyn Hartwell never wore a uniform, yet she lived that creed every day. She gave life to a man the world had forgotten. Her kindness embodies the spirit we fight to protect. One of Evelyn's co-workers, tears streaming freely, stepped forward. She arrived before dawn every day, baking extra pastries, paying for everything herself, just so he wouldn't go hungry. We mocked her, but now I see how wrong we were. A hush fell. A guest rose, voice thick with emotion. "We are witnessing not just a wedding, but a military honor ceremony. This woman's compassion deserves every bit of respect the uniform commands." Victor gently clasped Evelyn's hands. "I came today to give you the only gift I have left, my presence, my truth, and my deepest gratitude. I heard of your wedding. I hope you don't mind that I called in some old favors." Evelyn smiled through tears, overwhelmed. Lucas, her groom, stepped forward. "Sir, it would be my honor if you would join us, perhaps even walk Evelyn down the aisle." Victor nodded solemnly. "I would be honored." Applause filled the church, a powerful testament to love, sacrifice, and unseen heroism. The atmosphere inside St. Gabriel's Church transformed from whispered judgment to heartfelt reverence. What had begun as a moment of confusion and suspicion now blossomed into a powerful celebration of courage, kindness, and humanity. Evelyn stood beside Victor, her hands gently clasping his. A profound sense of relief and pride washed over her, mingling with gratitude for the journey they had shared, one marked by quiet compassion and unseen battles. Several of Evelyn's co-workers, who had once doubted her, approached with softened eyes and tentative smiles. Claire, the assistant manager, stepped forward, voice shaking slightly. "Evelyn, we didn't understand. We thought your kindness was misplaced, but now we see it was a lifeline." Evelyn returned her smile with quiet grace. "I never sought recognition. I just saw a man who needed to be seen." Victor's gaze swept the room, landing on those who had once whispered doubt. His voice, calm but steady, carried the weight of years spent in silence. "For too long, I hid who I was. The pain was unbearable. But Evelyn, she never asked for stories or medals. She gave me dignity when I had none left." Lucas, standing proudly beside Evelyn, addressed the guests. "Heroes wear many faces. Some wear uniforms. Others show their strength through everyday acts of kindness, when it's easiest to turn away." As the ceremony continued, the Marines formed an honor guard lining the aisle, a solemn tribute to both Victor's sacrifices and Evelyn's unwavering compassion. Their presence was a reminder of the bonds forged through empathy and respect. Later, Victor presented Evelyn with a small wooden box. Inside lay a simple silver pendant, a symbol of strength, honor, and the invisible battles many face daily. Evelyn and Lucas exchanged a look filled with hope and renewed purpose. This day wasn't just about their union. It marked the beginning of something greater, a mission rooted in healing, community, and kindness without expectation. Purpose, guests' reactions change, acceptance, gratitude. In the weeks following the wedding, Evelyn and Lucas discovered that their simple act of kindness had blossomed into something much larger than themselves. Together, they launched the Harbour Table, a humble breakfast program dedicated to serving homeless veterans and others quietly struggling in Harbourview. The Harbour Table was not about publicity or grand gestures. It was a sanctuary, a place where dignity was preserved, where no questions were asked, and where everyone was welcomed with open hearts. Every morning before dawn, Evelyn arrived early at the modest community centre, rolling up her sleeves to bake fresh pastries and prepare hot coffee. Lucas coordinated volunteers, many inspired by the Marines who had honoured their wedding day. Victor Hale became more than a guest, he became a symbol of resilience and hope. As he continued his journey toward healing, attending medical appointments, receiving trauma counselling, and reconnecting with military support networks, he also found purpose in helping others find their footing. Word spread quietly but powerfully. Veterans from Harbourview and neighbouring towns began to hear of the Harbour Table, a place where they could find warmth, respect, and a sense of belonging. For many, it was the first time in years they felt truly seen. One evening, Evelyn pinned Victor's original thank you note above the serving counter. Beneath it, she added her own message: "Every life has a story worth knowing. Here, you are never invisible." The note became a daily reminder to volunteers and visitors alike of the mission's heart. Months later, a local news crew sought to share the Harbour Table story. Ever humble, Evelyn declined personal attention, instead encouraging the reporters to speak with the veterans themselves. "This isn't about me," she said softly. "It's about seeing the invisible people all around us." On the first anniversary of their wedding, Evelyn and Lucas returned to the community centre to find 12 Marines waiting, each holding a single white rose. Captain Archer smiled warmly. "We'll be volunteering here regularly," he said. "This honour is one we won't let fade." Evelyn looked at Lucas and then Victor, her heart full. What began as one small act of kindness had grown into a family, a community bound by compassion, courage, and hope. In a world that often rushes past the unseen and unheard, Evelyn's story is a gentle reminder that the smallest acts of kindness can ripple out and transform lives in ways we may never fully grasp. Too often, those who sit quietly on benches, whose stories remain untold, and who carry invisible burdens, are overlooked and forgotten. True heroism doesn't always wear a uniform or stand in the spotlight. Sometimes, it lives in the hands that offer a warm meal without expectation, in the eyes that see a person rather than a problem, and in hearts willing to give without seeking reward. Victor Hale's journey, from decorated Marine to invisible man, and back to honoured hero, teaches us that dignity and recognition are gifts we can all give simply by choosing to notice. Evelyn's unwavering compassion showed that kindness isn't about grand gestures but about consistency and presence. Their story challenges each of us. Who are the unseen heroes in our lives? Whose battles are we ignoring? And how might our simple acts of empathy save a life or restore a soul? Evelyn didn't need to know Victor's past to see his humanity. Sometimes, the greatest debts require no money, only the daily dignity of being treated as a person. Let us live with kindness not for applause, but so that one day, perhaps unknowingly, we may be the reason someone finds hope again. Because often, the heroes who guard our freedoms and carry our burdens are quietly breaking their fast beneath our very own rooftops.